Okay, I needed a 10-point index wheel. I asked you guys how to do it. Bert and Mike, uh, Mike from Ontario, and Dux all sent me material, and I ended up with a very simple setup that I just wanted to talk you quickly through. This is what it is. I needed 10 points. I can't get that out of the 24-point index that's built into my lathe, which is a robust Scout with a 14-inch swing. So this is the finished thing. I'm just going to go quickly through what I did to make it because it was very simple, much simpler than I was prepared for. First, I found a piece of masonite, 10 that was big enough, and bored a center hole that exactly matched the spindle. And I lined it up with the number one. I used the chuck to clamp it in place, and lined it up with the notch that I have in the number one jaw that I line everything up with. So I cut it round and smooth, and drew an 8-inch circle on it. You can see the number of lines where I'm shooting for an exact 8-inch circle. Uh, when I got that, then I go to the protractor. See, I don't have a center anymore. I can't do it with a compass. So I lay the protractor on there and I can position that within the 8-inch circle very exactly and tape it down. Once it's taped down, I can mark 36 degrees around all the way around and get my 10 points and draw radial lines that intersect the outer circle that I plan to bore on. Because it's always a problem when you do these things. They're not all the same, and then your project doesn't work the way you want it to. So here's the drilling setup for that. The right angle jig on the drill press table is clamped down, and there's a diagonal line that comes out of that corner that's indexed that's there. That allows me to get the workpiece indexed in that diagonal corner like this. So the workpiece is touching both of the rails. Now I have the jig that guarantees the radial position. If I keep the workpiece bearing against those two rails, I'm going to be boring on the same radius wherever I bore. That reduces my problem down to just lining up one dimension rather than two. So now I can line up my radial line that goes to my center punched point, and masonite is very uniform. It's easy to work with the diagonal line of the jig, and I can bore very accurately. I could also have made an index pin, bore one hole, bore the second hole, put the index pin in the first hole, and then step your way around. But when you do that, if there's any error, it multiplies times 10, and you wind up with the last hole is way off. So doing it this way with the carefully marked holes and a setup like this is very, very accurate, and it's repeatable. And I could do it like for other settings besides 10. And to say thank you very much, Bert, for saving my butt from trying to make a 60 whole wheel for a universe of sizes when all I really want is 10 for another project. So the jig base is I make this stuff in about 2 or 3 foot long pieces of jig base with a keel on them that fits between the ways, which on my lathe is 2 inches, out of 1 inch ply. And I draw a center line on it and then saw it off like it was salami as I need it for jigs. And in this case, I make the jig base bear against the headstock so that index is tight there, and I can clamp it to the ways, and it's on. Then I could put the wheel that I have now made on the spindle and bring the block up behind it so it touches nice and the center line all lines up, and a couple of dabs of hot melt hold it in place, flow some super glue under it, make a dam of hot glue all around it, and it's not going to go anywhere. So now that's fully correctly positioned. So here's what it looks like close up. The hole in the block that the pin is going to go to, after I've got it all glued up and all that, remember the wheel is bored, it has its 10 holes, and I bore through one and start the hole and go to the drill press to make sure I get a good square hole there. And as it happened, it worked out perfect. All the holes were close, and this is the pin I made. It's just a broken piece of drill bit with a wee tiny chamfer on the end to help it get into the holes. The masonite is very fluffy, so I'm not showing this, but I have a hand countersink that I can use to deburr that hole. And it also makes a little chamfer, so that helps the pin through the block find the hole, each hole, and get in there and hold the rig tight so that there's no moving around while I'm boring for magnets either on the face or the edge of a workpiece that's in the chuck. So back, this is the original setup again. The just out of OCD habit now, I index the masonite disc to the notch cut in the number one jaw, and by habit, all my workpieces index to the notch cut in the number one jaw. So this becomes a repeatable setup, and it gives me a fighting chance of getting matching pairs of holes in workpieces that will actually work together the way I want them to, rather than not quite, because not quite doesn't do it for the kinds of things I make. So there you are. Thank you very much, guys. Duxbury showed a way of cutting a slot instead of a bored hole and using a little sliver of metal to stop and hold the index wheel. And I can see how that could work pretty good. Uh, but in this setup, I can also make a different base and draw a different set of holes with a little taller base to index 8 or 7 or whatever else I might want to do. Uh, so this gives me the flexibility, but I probably won't use it. This is probably what a one single purpose 10-hole jig. Okay, if I could
You're,
start,
u-
I would.
you're using it to cut your holes for the magnets. Is that why you have it?
Yeah, yeah. I want to make some 10-wheel things. I want to make some gear. Stop my share if you can, Bowman. I can't do it.
Okay.
Questions and comments? I just wanted to show that as I thought it was based on information I got from you all. I ended up with a very good purpose-made jig that'll suit my purposes, and it was not a big deal to make it.
First
Is
off,
there any,
yeah, John, safety. Unplug your lathe before you start doing this. You don't want that thing to come on under any circumstances when you're using a debris wheel.
You're right about that. Thank you.
Just pull the plug. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right, because I'm not using the index pin, so it's not locked. Because the lathe has a spindle lock. If the spindle is locked, you can't start it. But I won't be locking the spindle with this wheel. Good.
That's right.
Thanks very much.
is there any reason that you wouldn't use a printed pattern for laying out the holes and then just glue that on your masonite and use the pattern for the holes?
Well, I would have to have come up 2 flights of stairs and started the laser printer and found a program that could draw that, and it would probably be bigger than the paper that's loaded in the printer. And then I would say, oh, I'm going to stop for lunch. It's just easier to do it the way I did it with drafting tools.
Wood shop